I'm Mike Rux. I've been a freelancer since about 2008. I've been doing this. In 2021, I decided to kick off my agency. Got tired of being the freelancer. It's like, let's build a brand. And then just went gun-ho and worked on my own stuff, and ended up being #1 in Gilbert for Ciphers Digital Marketing. You can see the Google results I'm very proud of. And I even did an AI check. I said, who's #1 in Gilbert? AI said, you are. So I'm doing some, so pat myself on the back before we get started. But I think AI is very important. A lot of people are getting away from traditional search, and they're looking at AI for a lot of things. But what I'd like to do is just kind of get into a few questions and then do some Q&A. It's, there's no formal presentation, but I'd like to show you. I'll go to my website, and I'd like to talk about my biggest case study. This is actually a contractor's insurance company that we built their website from the ground up. Obviously, we did some podcasting, media stuff. What our strategy is to audit the website, fix the CTAs, make the website more user-friendly, improve the communication on the website to find the right audience. Because people these days, especially this kind of customer, they're so saturated that they're going to use Google Ads a lot, which is what we call a growth hack. And they were spending about $45,000 to $60,000 a month for Google Ads, and I managed all that. And what we did is, like I said, we had the objectives were to increase the visibility of ACI's target audience, boost conversions, and lower the cost per acquisition. They were at about $80 per acquisition. We got it down to about $30. Improve the click-through rates and enhance overall campaigns and ROI. So what we did is we audited the whole entire site, redid all the content, refined all the keyword strategies, enhanced the copy. And one thing that you're really going to learn in the digital marketing space is that the communication with forums. People are getting away from filling out forms online. Okay, it's more or less, it's a call. That's why they have Google Guarantee. They have all these different platforms, which some of you may be familiar with. But the calls are really more prevalent as far as like certain campaigns, but people just aren't filling forms out unless it depends on the industry. So this particular industry is more of a communication form, right? You've got to find out certain information about their income, how many people they have working for them, because it's contractor's insurance. So what we did is we took down the static form and built a conversational form that goes into 3 or 4 steps that increased their conversion rates 300%. Just that 300%. So when we were all said and done, after we did all this, we had them up $1 million a month in revenue. So and so the results here were 45% increase in impressions. The click-through rates was 35% up. We optimized the keywords, which made the cost per click 30% lower. Higher conversions, lower cost per acquisition. And basically we enhanced their online advertising performance. And like I said, from the organization themselves, they were up $1 million a month. Now, that's another thing I want to talk about, we'll get into, is that in the digital marketing space, you want to partner with the right people. Because you can drive all the traffic in the world, but if they can't close on the back end, guess who they're coming to? It's you, because they don't understand. So that's another big thing, is communication. So that's the biggest case study. If y'all have any questions.
Are they still with you?
They aren't. They're not with me. That's a whole nother situation. But they decided to move on, and 90% of the people that do that I see about a year later. So they did already come back and ask a few things, and I was able to straighten them out and help them with some things. And I've got a core value, and that is that whatever I build online, I never take it down. I don't care what anybody does to me. And anything that I build is the confidentiality of the client, and it's all theirs, no matter what. And that's taught me to be a great businessman. And I'll never lock their assets down. And that's what I found. I found a lot of these big companies are doing that. They don't understand. But Google and Facebook, if you've ever heard of like Meta Suite, and I don't want to get too off track, but Meta Suite and Google actually have platforms that are specifically designed to build organizational admins and then let everybody else just manage. So you never want to let the agency take and build your assets for you in their own accounts. You lose the data, you lose everything, and if they ever want to just shut it down, you're out of luck. Yes, sir.
So you probably get a lot of clients, and whenever you get difficult clients or you get projects that didn't go as planned, how do you coach your team to go through those kind of...
Well, if it's bad enough, I'll usually step in. But usually what it is it's just a barrage of patience, education, and the communications part of things. Yeah. You've got to constantly be in what people want, because in this industry, there's a lot of overseas stuff. They farm things out. It's like the mechanics of the world. You're always going to find bad ones. So they want responsiveness and they want education. And they may not know it. And that's where the patience comes in, because a lot of times you'll get them and they think they know, and they love their business and they're passionate. And so you gotta be patient, and you gotta educate them, and you gotta have proper communications. So that's real important. A great question. How about you?
What do you think is the most common myth or misconception about your career that people have?
It really depends on the channel that you're working in. I would say the biggest misconception, which is a great question, would be that, and I love that question, by the way, hey, let me hire you. Overnight, I want to be a millionaire. So they all think that you're this genie and that you just know something that they don't, and that they're going to hire you, and tomorrow they're going to have 50 leads in their inbox. So go ahead.
So I know typically a lot of marketing agencies have a lot of different strategies they follow. Do you guys have a specific marketing process that you guys use?
We do, and that's a great question. And with the digital marketing processes, whether it's SEO, Google Ads, social media marketing, or the holistic part of things, it's always in development. Your processes are always in development because everything changes. So I have a particular product that's all open source, if you know, so anybody can own it, anybody can do it. And what we do is we build out a WordPress site which 78% of the internet's on. We infuse SEO into the site, so they have kind of a Ferrari. I call it a turnkey Ferrari. When they get it, it hits the ground running. Then from there, we just go in and do the offsite SEO, the communications, the PR, the things like that to really drive conversions. So, and then you charge per phase, because then what that does is translates into performance marketing. So does that answer your question? Yes. How about you?
How did you learn all those things? Did you go to school? And then also a second part to that is, how do you currently learn with the prevalence of AI and everything changing? Because it's hard to just have a course and you learn it. It's growing.
That's right. Excellent question. It's always evolving. So I dedicate almost like a discipline, a certain amount of hours per week that I learn. As far as what I've learned from the ground up was all trial and error, and I didn't go to school for it. I was actually an auto technician, and I have a degree in automotive performance technology. I owned an auto shop, and I was a professional race car driver. Back in 2008, I was working with my dad, and my dad goes, you know what? We're just not getting much work. The housing's down. It was that 2008 deal. And he goes, what are we going to do? Just go out and get some work. And, I would do the old school stuff. I'd go talk to people and I'd give them to follow me to the shop and they'd spend money. Or I'd go to the mission station and they'd fail and I'd say, we can fish your emissions, and I'd give a piece of paper. I said, I'm tired of this. I said, I'm going to build a website. This is 2007, 8-ish. My dad goes, no, don't do that. I did it in 2001. It didn't work. I said, no, I'm going to make it work. And I would sit there all day during the day. And then I would go home, be with my wife a little bit, right? Eat dinner, work till 3 a.m, get up at 6, take my daughter to her grandmother's, go back to work, sit all day and work on it. I did about 16, 18 hours a day for 3 years straight. And then my dad started saying, what are you doing? We're getting $3,000 to $5,000 a week coming in. He goes, keep doing what you're doing. Matter of fact, go home and do it. And then I just started talking to people that I knew. One of the biggest gyms, matter of fact, the media guy back there was the owner. It was called Fitness Works. It was one of the biggest gyms in Arizona. We drove that up, started doing good there. I started getting just local people, freelancing a lot. And then in 2001, I just worked on my brand, and I don't know if I got off track, but does that answer the question? I'm self-taught. through trial and error. And that's going to be the number one thing in this industry because it's always evolving. And you can hear everybody tell, oh, do this, do that. And then you go do it and you completely fail. And you go, well, why did I do that? Oh, well, maybe I just need to change it a little bit or figure this out or figure that out. And then so the number one thing that you want to focus on is data-driven decisions. That's the number one thing you want to focus on in this industry. Yes, sir.
How do you prioritize between brand awareness and conversion?
That's in the data as well. Brand awareness is more, you want to think of social media as brand awareness. Okay, now think of it this way, is we have what's called attribution modeling in this industry. And what that means is there's so many channels and there's so many different opportunities that people have and just decisions to make because everything's so saturated that what channel did they come through on, which would be the initial click-through, or what channel did they actually convert over time? So it might take 3-4 days for them to actually call you or fill out a form or something like that. But maybe they've already been to Facebook, they went to your website, they looked at your Google reviews, they've investigated you. So it all ties together. Your branding and your conversion rates all ties together. You have to be prevalent on each channel. And go ahead.
Okay, so what kind of skills do you look for when hiring someone? And then what's a skill that everyone might think is super overrated, but that you really do need in this kind of field?
I would say the number one thing I look for is someone that is really diligent and patient. It's really more of a core value thing for me because I can always guide them if they're willing to learn. But obviously they've got to have a little bit of understanding of the search engine, kind of what goes into maybe a website. I really like to see people that know WordPress. If you know WordPress, which is, if you know how to get around on WordPress a little bit, you're totally coachable. We can go real far. And what was the other part of the question?
Oh yeah, just like, I think kind of already answered it, but what was like a skill that everyone might think is super overrated, but it's something that you really do need in that field?
Let me think of that one. WordPress is definitely a big one. I would say if you have this might be kind of an interesting one. We don't want to call it weird, but it's true. If you do not like stock imagery, I like you. So if you want anything that's unique and original, kills it. Because people are not doing it that way. They, like I said, they're hiring these overseas people, they're putting this stock imagery up, and it totally just throws the algorithm off on social media. It does not. Google has a big thing, it's called EEAT. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And that's what they look for in a website. And now they can read the imagery, they can read all of that. So when they go to your site, if you've got stock images and we can service your car, we know how to service cars, we love servicing cars. I mean, you do this keyword stuffing and all this stuff, they've gotten too smart, that's old school stuff. So a willingness to learn, know WordPress, and understand that to be unique and original.
Does AI generated images fall into stock?
Imagery that's
algorithm?
That's a great question as well.
Considered unique.
I have not had any problems with it. I've used a lot of AI and it seems to be considered unique.
Okay.
But at the same time, I mean, the content's not. We call it "Where's Waldo?" Right? Because everybody out there is AI. Let's put it all over our website. We love AI, but you got to humanize it. It's got to be. You only want about 12. I figured 12 to 20% AI. You got to read it and humanize it, or else it's just scrape content. I mean, we used to do this programmatically and own the search engines. We would just take PHP and we would take 48,000 pages, the entire United States. We'd have a page for every city, and we would rotate with PHP the content every month and just spin it. And we'd rank number one for so long. But then they did they've done so many updates: the Panda update, Fresh Content update, EMD update, which is exact match domains. You see a lot of people that do keywords in their domains and they think Google's taking credit away from all that stuff. Yeah. So, yes, ma'am.
So there's many online certificates, like digital marketing certificates. Do you think both on paid and paid? Do you think those are worth doing, or do you think there's already like?
I think they're great accolades to get hired, and I think the number ones I'd go after are the ones that Google offer, because that's like the seal. Because you're going to be able to take that into an agency, and they will say, "Hey, I need a seal. I need a badge to represent that we have Google. Are you certified? And then you can use that for the agency. Plus, it's going to teach you so much in advertising because they're hard quizzes to hard tests. I mean, my best scores are like 82 and I barely pass, but I'm very good at it, so it's not really something you can take to the bank fully. I think that's the experience. You're gonna have to start your way and earn your way up, but they're great to get your foot in the door. You'll learn a lot. Better for hiring. Yeah. Yes.
Are there any types of, like, in the spirit of continuing to learn, are there any specific softwares or hard skills that you would recommend that we learn kind of before we start looking for jobs in this field?
Right. So you really want to learn, I think what a lot of businesses lack is CRM management. So customer relations management. So you want to learn different CRM platforms. HubSpot's one of them. WordPress is a CMS, a content management system. So that's a form of the software. Again, that's another thing to learn. And then from there, it's everything's kind of add-ons. Like, for example, I may not be able to design something and take 3 or 4 hours, so why reinvent the wheel? I'll use something like, a good example is something called Elfsight, and they've got tons of widgets that are widgets that update every 72 hours for reviews, and you can just embed. All of that is typically works well with WordPress. So Elfsight, it's just like Elf, like the movie. And then SIGHT, and that's a good one for forms, things that you can embed, because not everybody's going to have access to the best developers. And another thing is a lot of the coders and the developers they're kind of chewing their fingernails because this stuff's becoming turnkey. Yeah, it's taken out from under them. Like back 10 years ago, a lot of us probably couldn't do WordPress stuff. Now you can go in there and just learn a little bit of a learning curve, and you're good to go. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Great. Go ahead. Ladies first.
What do you think truly separates a great digital campaign from an average one?
That's a great question, because I would say that it really comes down to how much time and expertise you put into it. And then, very importantly, back to communications. You've got to talk to your customer, you've got to talk to the business owner, and you've got to understand their language, and you've also got to understand their business. So in this industry, it's very hard. You've got to learn other industries, you've got to learn their audience, you've got to learn what the business owner wants, and then you got to tie it all together. So the key is how good you listen and how well you action, your actionable items come to pass. So execution. Yes, sir.
How do you approach SEO and content marketing?
Well, the first thing we do, again, is we really, there's something that we call low-hanging fruit with that. So low-hanging fruit is where you can go out there, and let's say that you're in the insurance industry, and everybody's saturated in the insurance industry, and there's maybe 100,000 searches for that, right? And everybody's like, yeah, I want that 100,000. I want that 100,000. But then you realize you could just do something like insurance prices, right? Another keyword, and maybe they only get 500, but out of those 500, you can convert 30. Out of the 100,000, you may convert 10 or maybe not even get there because you can't make the top 5. It's so saturated. So that's the low-hanging fruit that we look for, and that's how we approach it. What you want to do is you want to growth hack. So you want to make sure that you get the clients immediate leads, immediate results while you're working on the higher end stuff, which sometimes you may never get there, but these other low-hanging fruits, they'll never know the difference really, and they don't need to because they're just getting business. Creates the bottom line.
I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like I'm better at searching now, like on Google, but this word, oh, but also this word. Like the audience now knows how to search better, and therefore you almost have to be more specific in what you're offering.
Exactly right. And back to his question with the content is you always want to put the EEAT in there, and which is, and we used to call it long tail queries. So how can I get my car detailed in this city, right? Or how much does it cost to polish the rim and put tire in my? Yeah. Those are things that you do all now without keywords. They're all done with just valuable content, expertise, And to give you better examples so you understand that, a good example would be like when you build your website. Get your employees on there. Talk about their accolades and how good they are at polishing the car, or you know, they've been around and gone to BYU-Idaho, and you know what I mean, and they have their degree, and Google sees that as a trust factor. You know, add Better Business Bureau on there if you remember the Better Business Bureau. You know, there's quite a few different things you can do, which a lot of people just aren't focusing on because they don't understand it. So that's how I approach it, is with expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
One of our goals is to get opportunities for students to do either internships, or some of them are about to graduate, maybe looking for jobs. What's the makeup of your team look like? What kind of people would you be hiring for
In the future.
in the near future?
Mostly is kind of what I've been talking about a lot of the questions, communications, the SEO stuff, project management is a big one. So to be able to be forward facing with the client, to, you know, be within the brand and patient and know how to understand what they need and then translate that into online. But
So if you hire people to do that for you, like, this is your website, or I'm just curious about the makeup of your team. Who's
so
video guy?
yeah.
Sorry, media guy. General.
So I've got about 2 or 3 web developers, maybe 3 designers, and about 2 SEO people, and then I'm the director.
Yeah.
So it's about 8 to 10 people, and 99% of the time, well, 90% of the time we're remote.
Okay.
So it's all remote. It's so easy to be remote. So we do a lot of Zoom and Google Meets. We're doing that a lot. We use, and so that's a great question, because I got so much to say here, right? So that's another thing in this industry and owning a digital marketing agency, is you've got to have great communication internally. So we use Slack, for example, if you've ever heard of Slack. We use Monday a lot. You know, there's so many of them that we use, and you know, it's just, you can't have too many of them, because
Does that get crazy? Like, oh wait, I was on Slack. You're like, no, I was on Monday. Like, where were you? Like, does that get hard? How do you manage that?
good question as well. It does, but then what you do is you have to onboard them into the agency, so they all get their own email. Everything you got to do through the email. If you get a ping, check your email, you know, so on and so forth. So we don't really need VPSs or VPNs or anything like that. It's just more or less having accountable people that, you know, you got to hire the right people. And I'm always in the weeds, you know, so if something happens and, you know, it's like, well, honey, I'll be at 16 hours again, you know, until we find someone, and you just do what you got to do. So I still have a lot to learn scaling, but that's what's working for me so far.
What KPIs do you typically track for?
Well, the KPIs we usually look for, again, a lot of it's conversion rate stuff. So let's say somebody depending on whether it's an e-commerce site or an informational site, let's say they come to your site and they're on mobile and they click on your phone number. That's a KPI, that's a conversion. Maybe they go to the form, they fill out a form, and it goes to a thank you page. We fire a conversion for that. So really, conversions is the main KPI. You can look at traffic, you can look at all these different things, but really what converts is what matters. So that's the main KPI.
How do you track traffic?
Mainly we just use Google Analytics. We use Tag Manager for that, Google Tag Manager. And then from there, that's really the most robust stuff that you need. Now, again, that's a great question too, because I had someone reach out to me yesterday. They had this, there's a surgeon, and they've got this full-on closed system that does SEO, WordPress, reporting, social media, I went in there, 90% of stuff they're not using, I'm looking at it. A lot of it's what's called false negatives, or these are false positives, because it's like, you're getting so many leads, whoa, but they're like, well, how come our business isn't growing? And then I go in there, look, and then the WordPress is like, you can't make any edits on it, you can't make any design changes on it. So really, this isn't rocket science. It doesn't take an enclosed system and 50 million things and shiny things. It's just like any business. You just want to limit the shiny things. Really, you need a good tracking, which is Google Analytics. You need a good tag manager so you don't slow down your site, JavaScript type things. You don't want to put a big tag in everything. So you want Google Tag Manager. And then you can use the Facebook pixel and things like that. Like each one of these places will have something for tracking for you. So that's what we do.
So you probably don't do social media as much, just more of the other side of things. Is that correct?
We're starting to do more social media, but that is correct.
I want to know your opinions of hashtags. Are they dying?
They are. That's what everybody's saying. They are dying. I do think that. The reason being is I never thought they were valuable to begin with, but at the same time, like for example, on your Google local page, they don't even accept them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you can't even get them. Matter of fact, they're getting away from links too. As you can see, they embed everything inside of the iframe everything, so it never leaves their platform. Social media, their goal is to keep you on there as long as possible. Yeah. So they quit letting you leave, right?
Can you give an example of something that you worked on that started off as like a really small project that turned into something that was a lot bigger, something that went kind of viral?
The Contractors one did. Let's see, what's another good one that I've had? I did a garage door company. Went pretty big. Here's a good example that really helped. And I almost did this pro bono, but I had to get a little. I pretty much did, but that's okay. Sonoran Schools is a big school out here, and we had a 300% increase in organic traffic. But most importantly, they were on one of these closed systems that I talked about, and that their website, they couldn't control it, they couldn't do anything with it. So they had, I think it was 5,000 pages, and we built it all from the ground up on WordPress, and it immediately increased their enrollments, everything. So I think they've scaled 3 more schools after what we did.
So when you take on a big project like that, do you ramp your team up with like contractors for a bit to get that work done, or you guys still handle your same 8-10 people?
We handle most of it, but I 1099 a lot of it, and then I do bring contractors in when I need to. But we've got a really tight system. I really feel that way. It needs work, so I'm pretty confident with it, but that it's just such a great process. I mean, I've got my SOPs, and that's important, is have SOPs and follow the same thing every time.
I know SOPs, but I don't know SOPs.
Yeah, that's a good joke. Standing operator procedure.
Okay, gotcha.
And so we just kind of follow that, and onboard everything the same way. So sometimes I have to farm things out. 95% of it's in-house, because it's like you can do that and you'll end up just cleaning their mess up. So again, communication is key, and if you're in communication with these business owners, they just want to know you're there. They just want to know, so they'll be patient, because especially organic SEO nowadays, you have what's called a crawl budget with Google, and they will not even crawl your site if you have errors on your site, or if you don't have high authority on your site, which means a lot of links, people referring to you and things like that, and they won't even crawl your site. And I've seen sites, hey, I just put my page up, I don't see it, what happened? It's like it's not there for 3 months. Well, here's maybe just a little issue that we got to fix, or you got to go into Google Console and constantly tell them crawl this, or put what's called schema into place, which is JSON files, and what those do is tell what the page is about, what location they're in, and it does it on the back end. So it's like a JavaScript or a JSON file, and so structuring is a big thing.
With ChatGPT kind of breaking into the market, how do you get found by ChatGPT?
Again, a lot of that's done with the EEAT and having a lot of notoriety out there. So like, I'm on a lot of different websites. I don't know if you've ever heard of SEMrush, and that's a pretty big one. I'm on there. Expertise, Gilbert Chamber, and so it's really all about just getting it out to every website you can, and then having a high ranking there. Or reviews is a good one, because as you look, if you ever look at ChatGPT and you do a search, you'll see every now and then that glitch of looking at the internet and these different logos coming up. They're scraping the entire internet. That's what they're doing. And so when they find like let's say your competitors have 5 websites that are talking good about you, but I got 50, boom, it's gonna pop. So that's right. And that's the PR side of things, affiliate marketing, getting on the chamber, expertise, like that it's a grind. It never stops. And if you do it white hat, we call it, the only way that you get beat is if the other guy does it better. So we're not going anywhere.
That's all relationships.
It's all relationships. Right.
What is your one source that you use to keep up on all the changes in search marketing? And number two, what that you used to know did you find out was wrong?
That's a great question. I have to dig on the shelf in that one, but I would say that yeah, I'm getting there. I'll be 50 pretty soon. So anyway, I would say that Google is really what you want to keep up with, because it's almost like the beta. Yahoo and Bing, they don't have much of the market share. I don't even know if Yahoo's exists anymore, but Bing, for Bing, for example, is they have a low percent of the market share. And usually what you'll see is something that's on Bing is you may see about 6 months later on Google, or the other way around. I'm sorry. Yeah. Google's way ahead of Bing, and the stuff on Bing is almost like, old data. And so I keep up with Google. They're still 82% of the market share, I believe.
So what do you use to keep up with Google?
A lot of it is Google, the Skillshop with Google. You can go in there and you can take a lot of stuff there. Obviously, I do use AI to learn certain things, because you can come up, but you got to take it as got to take it with a grain of salt, because that's everybody saying everything. And then I've got Cortera. There's a couple different places that I go to, and it seems like you've heard of that. And then constantly trying things. It might be something I try and then I back out and try something different, back that out or change that. Just always being, it's just kind of a daily grind. Yeah. So, and the other question was, what was something I did that was totally wrong? I felt was
Totally wrong.
totally. Okay. I'll give you the one that I'm safe from now. This was about 10 years ago, and I found out that I could buy a link for $25 and I would win everything. I would own everything. I would just top of everything. And I just did that for a little while. And then all of a sudden, Google says, we're penalizing you. You cannot buy links. So I had to go in and disavow those links that I paid that money for. So back before, and people knew about it, I ignored it. I was young, I was new. So I bought a link and I got penalized. But it taught me how to get other people out of the penalty with the disavow tool on Google. So it was not a bad thing, because I ended up getting about 7 to 8 people out of Hawk. So that was a fun experience. So yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
You're asking a good question.
Yeah, I love it. You're making my job easy here.
How do you approach multi-channel marketing? Because I know the game is changing, right? So, and I ask this question a lot, but like with influencers having such a big influence, especially in the marketing field, right? Do you guys have in-house, do you guys use influencers? Do you guys have in-house influencers? How does that work?
Now, the influence side of things, I think that's got its own beast. Yeah. Now, multi-channel marketing, which is what you're talking about, it's all about the branding, like you talk about. There's certain things that are branding tools, and then there's conversion tools. You got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, woo-woo, wee-hee, all these things, right? Those are all branding tools. It's like seeing the billboard on the highway when you drive by. You might see it once and go, oh yeah, I saw that. Oh, and then you drive by again, hey, that's kind of cool. By the 4th time, you know what the brand is. So that's the branding side of things. Then the conversion tools might be when they leave those websites and they go to maybe Google to research you and they look up your brand name, they're gonna find your reviews. They're gonna go to your website. They're gonna see what your content's about. So the multi-channel marketing, to answer your question, is all in-house with what's called attribution modeling. What channel do they come in from, and what channel do they convert from? And that can all be done through Google Analytics is a good place to look at your attribution. Another one is where you're getting a lot of your traffic. Are you getting a lot of organic traffic? Are you getting, Google Ads is another one. So it's really all about being at the right place at the right time.
how did you get yourself to #1 in Gilbert?
That was when the whole shutdown thing happened. I don't even say the word anymore. I just sat down and I worked on nothing but my own stuff, because what we tend to do in this industry, is, as a freelancer especially, is you'll spend all your time on your clients, and then you're so expendable it's not even funny. They might have a bad day and call you up and say, "See you later, I'm going with someone else." Well, I just put 2 years working my heart and soul into this. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to sit here for 6 months, and I'm going to do what I do, and I'm just going to grind on my own stuff. And then all of a sudden, over time, it just started coming around and gaining momentum. And I was getting a lot more clients. They were talking good about me, getting a lot of reviews.
So essentially, SEO on your own site drives your own business.
Correct. And I do maybe 500 a month in Google Ads. That's it. Just because I feel that there's a percentage of notoriety and links and things that you get from that, believe it or not. So I don't do much advertising at all. I do no Facebook advertising, and I get 3 to 5 leads. I get leads coming in all the time, and they're all coming off of that knowledge pack on Google. All of them come from, majority of them come from there. Some of them come from ChatGPT. I had a painter guy the other day. He texted me this big ChatGPT thing that had the reviews, and said I was #1 for painters, and I don't even have a painter client until now. But because another core value I have is an automatic NDA. If I've got a painter, I will not take another painter within 15 miles. I am not going to compete, within my own agency. So I do automatic NDA just like that. So yeah, it's yes.
Okay, so you probably get a lot of clients since you are #1. Are there any kind of clients that you don't accept or you don't take? And if you do, why?
Okay. Excellent question, because I stay awake at night on this one. Yeah, sometimes if you realize that they're a problem and they're toxic, you don't want them in your life, let alone in your business. Yeah. And so if you choose value over money, you'll be successful. So I know that I'm going to get the right partnership that's going to come around, and I'm not going to have to worry about getting yelled at. And that's another reason I've lost some, not lost, I've fired clients myself. I mean, I've had my highest paying client where, I had to fire him, and then I was like, help, it hurts. It hurts, am I going to make it? And then you just got to have faith. Mm-hmm. Faith in God, faith in Christ. That's what I am. That's what we do here. And know that you'll make it with hard work and value. Does that answer it?
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Sorry. You've mentioned a couple of times your core values. How have you developed those over your career? Why are they so important? I feel like it drives a lot of your answers and what you've said. Why are they so important to you?
Some of it's experience. Some of it's the way I was raised, which I won't get deep into it. A big part of it's my wife and my family life. I've just realized that, you just got to be honest in this world, and because, you're swimming upstream. A lot of people aren't doing that. They're going to take the easy route. And if you just stay focused and grind and put value into it and have a good heart and for people, and you never do the wrong thing, no matter how bad it hurts, it'll all come around for you. But you got to have the patience too with it, because it's going to, for a long time, you may be in the weeds hurting, but always do the right thing. And so if that answers the question, I think it's my faith is a big one,
Without naming names, can you tell the story of somebody where you really kind of did the right thing, but they did you wrong, and it was really painful? And but then how it came around.
Okay, let's see. There's been quite a few of those.
Yeah, welcome to the world of marketing. Right?
Yeah. I had one that if anything would go bad in his day, he would call me up yelling at me. So one day he called me up, and this is a situation where it came around where he came back to me and asked for my help. And I still did it. I don't know why. That's not a core value, but I did. So he would call me up, and then one day he calls me up and he goes, yeah, listen here, if you don't get this fixed, I'm coming over your house and I'm going to sue you, and I'm bringing the cops over your house. And yeah, yeah, he was threatening me. Okay. And so all I did was say, listen, I'm not going to put up with this. Now, when you calm down, give me a call. And I hung up on him. And that was it. He had enough. So he immediately took it over to another agency, one of the biggest in the country. Okay? This just happened about a month ago. He had some guy call me up and say, hey, what were you doing? Can you help us out? Because they trashed the website. We're getting nothing, no leads or anything. And we had them up to hundreds. And so I told him what to do. And even, I said, this is what you need to do. Even though I won't want to work with you, but this is where they messed it up, and I actually helped him. I still don't know why. I just was compelled to, but
why did you do that? It's crazy. No, that's what
it's a little crazy. I think sometimes I'm overly kind to people, but I don't feel that way in a sense as well, because I feel like the blessings come around, and it has. It builds.
Like the more you do that, and the more you're going to want to do that, instead of being always in defensive mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer. I think it's because it raises my confidence. I sleep better at night. It helps me. I realize how good of a business I have and how much value I do provide to the community. So why not? All it was sending him an email and say, do this.
Yeah.
It was really easy. It's
A lot
not.
of people wouldn't do that. They'd like, forget you.
Right. And so I guess it was just easy just to go, hey, you know what? Maybe the guy's just got problems in his life, and whatever. Maybe he's got a marital problem or something. You don't know what's going on in his life. I don't want to make it hard for him. If he didn't have a good business, because he did have a good reputation. So if he was screwing people over, I wouldn't have done it. Matter of fact, I probably wouldn't have worked with him. But he had a good reputation. He was doing well. I had a few people call that were using him, saying, hey, they're good. He's good. So. Yes, sir.
This is a little more tangential, but obviously you're like head honcho guy. You do have people that work for you. So what do you have those people do?
Again, I've got a couple people that I don't have to micromanage. And so what they'll do is they'll just kind of go in, make some changes, put it into Monday, notify me on Slack, or whatever the case may be, and just kind of keep up to date. And then I've got other people that I have to, I'm kind of bringing up. I have to tell them what to do a lot more. Like, hey, and then I have to tell them a few times sometimes, to a point where I have to say, well, if you don't start doing it, we're going to have to figure something out, because this is not working. So it's like, it's really, that's a constant struggle in any business, especially digital marketing, is finding good people that you don't have to micromanage. Typically I'll tell them, go on and put some content on this site. Like, we just built a new site. I need you to SEO it and put content on it. Go try to build some links over here, find some niche citations is what it's called. It really depends on where we're at in the campaign and what needs to be done. But I'm getting more and more where I'm finding people that I don't need to micromanage.
So is that so I assume at the beginning of when you get a client, you sit down and you guys have a strategy, and then is it that you say, okay, for this week we're going to focus on this, and then this week, and then we just divvy out, so that way the people who do work for you okay, this week I'm working on getting those citations. So this week I'm working on doing this for this page, right? Is that kind of how you do it? Or is it
is. A little bit of both. You got to have a strategy. The majority of the clients that come to you, again, like I said, some of them think you're a genie. Yeah. So they just say, just get me leads. They don't really care, some of them. Other ones want to be more involved. So it really depends on, your client. But more importantly, it's about taking the SOP and actually doing it in phases. So we'll start out, build out the site, build the design, make sure that the client likes that, then build the content into it, SEO the content, start adding all the analytics. So there is a process from day to day, and we'll just follow Monday in a sequence until each one of those things is done. Mark it off, done. Okay, now what? All right, we got the onboarding process done. The site's launched, it's ready to go. Google's gonna start crawling it. We got the SEO. Now what do we gotta do? All right, and then we'll go analyze and strategize again, and then build another set of tasks. And so it's really following a procedure, but I'd like to say in each order of events because that's an algorithm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you might have to make a left or right turn. It depends on the industry as well. So a little bit of both.
Yes.
So you talked about like that you have to like regular employees, then you do some 1099, then you have some contractors. How do you make sure with the importance of internal communication, how do you make sure that everybody in your team stays connected? Because I've worked with places that have really good internal communication, and I've also worked with places that have really bad internal communication, and then employees end up feeling slighted, and then employers feel like your employees aren't doing the work when it's really just a lack of communication. So how do you handle communication within your business?
Right. Again, and I think that a lot of that is the cloud, the softwares that we use. With what we're doing where everything's remote, is it's not as important to make every employee friends with each other and knowing what everyone's doing. It's really about directing the flow of the marketing process. So that's kind of what I'm doing. You might have an SEO guy that's doing, the WordPress SEO stuff that I talked about, and then somebody else that's managing some social media stuff. They need to come together in the sense that we have to have those projects and they know each other and they're able to actually look at what each person's doing or what maybe the language is and so on and so forth, so they can correlate together. But as far as like keeping the synergy there, it's kind of a little different. It's because everything is so remote, which I think is the future anyway. I think maybe if I scale, big enough, I might have everything in house. But right now, that's just not on the books. So it's kind of a different model, but it can work. So I think I would say that my model is like really agency driven, but somewhat of freelancing still, because I'm still touching everything. I'm still, make sure everything works. And that being said, I'm capped at about 20 clients. So, for me to scale more, but 20 clients is plenty, because I'm a boutique type agency. There's no $500 a month here, The reason I can call it boutique is because and which I've got to learn some of this stuff too, but like sometimes the client will text me at 6 p.m. when it's over, and I'll get back to him. It's like as long as I'm not interfering with family life, right? And which sometimes I do. Shame on me, right? But at the same time, it's like I'm so responsive. I'm easy to get a hold of. I'm there for the client. 99%. That's what they want. They want to know that you're there for them. They can text you, they can email you, they can call you when they need something.
You're basically what you're saying, if I'm getting it correctly, your solutions to all their problems are so specific to them and what they do. You don't have some one size fits all. First we do this, then we do this.
Right.
It's very specific to what they do.
Exactly. That's the boutique side of it, is because really to do it right, you got to get in, you got to dig in and understand the industry and the audience. And again, the communications and PR, that's why this is such a good meeting, to be able to do this, because a lot of this, 90% of what you're learning and doing is digital. It's all digital. That's where it's going. So if you
have such passion for this, why?
that's like almost a weight lifted question at the same time. That's a shelf digger too. I think it's,
I tell my students, actually, I'm a little bit fishing for an answer, but I tell my students, like, school tells you, follow your passion. And yeah, there's truth to that, but what happens when you embrace yourself in anything, you begin to see how you're serving people. You begin to see the benefit of it. When I started, right, in the media side of things, I had no interest in the law. The damn's fascinating. I had no interest in actually how to write, and that's what I teach now. It's totally fascinating. So anyway, I'm interested in your journey to passion.
You probably answered half of it there. The other part is, my family and, my wife and where I've come from, some of the bad things that I was taught when I was younger, how, most of my family they were 9-to-5 people. And then I just do everything 100% too. I give it all, my all, most everything. So I think a lot of that is to be able to provide for my kids, to when I pass on, they're able to have something, which that didn't happen for me. It was more of taken than given. And then I just found something I'm really good at. Yeah, so went from being a mechanic, which I was passionate about, to, a digital mechanic, right? And that's just, to me, I don't know, it just hits me in the heart. I can work day and night. I mean, my wife has to slap me in the head. Luckily, I have a house with a casita, right? Yeah, so whether I come down here to this office sometimes, or sometimes I work from home. I mean, I just lock the door, walk to my casita, and anything work, I leave in there. And my wife will call me, "Hey, you're gonna come have dinner?" or whatever. And then an hour later, I'll come have dinner. So yeah, I think it's just built over time. I don't think I have the best answer to that question. I just want to help people in their business because they're not getting the help they need online, and that's where it's all going. And I see an opportunity, but to build value, it's not money driven for me.
I don't know if you guys hear that. That is such a lesson for life right there. You find something you care about, and you notice there's good money in marketing, and marketing is fun as heck, but it's the primary thing is that it's about beating your home.
That's right. Money will come because you're good at what you do and because you care about it.
That's right. And you got these people that are brick and mortar places, and they're going to 5-6 different places and spending tens of thousands of dollars and getting nothing. And then they come to me and you see the reviews that I get, like, "Oh my goodness, this has been the greatest experience. Like, everybody else is farming it out. He's there. He does what it takes." And they tell me all the time. I just had a lady in Mesa that's like, "I can't believe how awesome you are, how great the website is, and how much passion you put into this." And they just praise you for it. And it's not that I need that. It's just it's good to feel that, that actual change in the community, like a shift, and then know that there's very few out there that are doing what I'm doing. Very few. Same thing with staying sober. Same thing with, being good to your parents. I mean, we can go on about all the lessons in life. Yeah. You do it right, you swim upstream, you're going to get blessings. But it's not easy. It's the hardest thing to do because everybody else is doing it the other way.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of answered it earlier, but how do you attribute specific or ROI to specific campaigns or clients?
Well, that's all done, like I said, with the data. It's data driven. I mean, that's the best answer I have for you. And like when you go into analytics for a certain, let's say, industry or website or genre or whatever you want to call it, you're going to find the certain channels and how they're coming in, how long were they on the site, what was the bounce rate, what's the engagement rate, how many conversions came in. If it's not panning out, you gotta figure other things. The key is to stay calm and not panic. Like, just stay calm and say, what can I do to change this, and what am I gonna have to do to get this client where they need to be? And then you just go for it. And then if that don't work, you try it again until it works.
Has there ever been a client where you took a really big risk with them, whether it was like a creative risk or like you just completely redid the website or something, and what made it worth it, and how did it turn out?
Every one of them.
Every one of them?
Every one of them is a huge risk. Mm-hmm. Every one of them, they all come to you with a Pinto, mm-hmm. or a Cavalier, a Yugo, and then you got to turn that into a Maserati. Mm-hmm. And how do you do that, right? Is you're going to have to usually rebuild the websites, because most clients are going to be on the GoDaddy Builder or Wix or something like that. Yeah. And just, I got a website. Wee! And I'm like, well, we're going to have to scale it now. So first, you got to learn the sales, because I've got to be able to convince them that they got to invest this amount of money, and I got to get 60% up front, because we both have to have skin in the game to do this, because, so you protect yourself. And then from there, you just hit the ground running, because once they buy into you and trust you, you better deliver. If you don't, it's going to go stale. So that's the key, is to stay on key, stay focused, have confidence.
Are you a little video team? Like what?
I would say it's about 3 of us.
Okay.
So we are.
You just create videos for what? Like for this business, what does the video team exist for?
it's a lot of it's for you to drive the results. So people are YouTube's the number 2 search engine in the world. Everybody's consuming shorts and things like that. They all stick in the ranking. They drive up rankings. So what we do is that's kind of our secret sauce. Is we always go in and do a welcome video or service-based videos.
Company that you take on, you help them create little videos to put on their website.
Correct. And then we sprinkle that into social media, so it gets engagement. You know, nothing stock.
So you don't just tell them go have a video made.
No.
You've got a little internal shop where
Correct.
you can actually get some video going.
Exactly. So here's an interesting. Yeah, here's just one fun one I'm going to show you that we did, and it's using AI and voiceover. So we don't have any actors or anything because most people don't want to be on video, but we took and we blew up an AC with AI.
Don't wait AC to call it quits. Get your unit serviced before the heat waves roll in, because a little maintenance now means big savings later. At Ground Zero, we offer 5-star commercial and residential AC inspections.
So there's a quick one. Let's see. Let's give you another one.
You guys completely produced that.
We completely produced that.
From their business, the truck was from their business.
Everything is from except the AI. Except the AI. Let's see here. Let's find another one. Yeah, here's one we just did. There's my wife, but here's one we did. This is just one for us.
Thanks for coming to Ciphers Digital. My name's Mike. I'm the CEO of the company.
Just an introduction.
Word-based digital marketing agency that's full stack. We can help you with your web design, SEO, anything you need to improve your bottom line and get you leads online. We have 2 locations, one in Gilbert and one in Queen Creek. We serve many businesses throughout Arizona with all of their digital marketing needs, from SEO, website design, you name it, we can help. Reach out today or look at our reviews and see what people are saying.
So that's when we just winged it. We just winged it.
How about the garage door one? Is that?
Oh yeah, let's show that one. Let's show that one. Oh, that's on. That was a fun one. Let's see, and then we'll. So we just came up with this out of nowhere, and we're just like, all right, we'll just come over to my house and we'll just make something up. Yeah, and so we just made this up on the fly. No, they're actually the business owner kids, but he didn't want to be in the. He's the.
Garage door sensor can cause severe embarrassment.
Actually,
Free inspection.
writing.
We trust garage doors, and so should you.
So yeah.
This is
So
actually genius.
yeah. So everybody in the valley has seen that one. It went into all. Yeah, it went into all the movie theaters. Fat Cats. Yeah, and so I go around all the time like, were you in that garage door video? Like, yeah.
This is actually really great writing. It's
Yeah.
because I've actually done that.
Yeah.
And then I realized the hard way to say it.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.